Hello everyone, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy, the Hindu news analysis. So today we have some very important news articles for our discussion, and one by one we'll try to discuss all these articles in a very detailed manner so that this discussion will be helpful for your prelims and mains examinations. And these articles are covered in both the Hindu and Indian Express newspapers. And the first article with which we are going to start this discussion is about India's push into the deep sea. In fact, India has been making a lot of efforts to start a deep sea mining. So it is not just about deep sea mining, because we have a vast marine resources, and it is very important for a country like India to tap these important marine resources. And because of this particular reason, so India has been pushing itself into the deep sea missions. So we are going to discuss about this deep sea mission of India and how it is going to benefit India in the long term as well as short term, and what is the strategic, economic and political importance of this deep sea mission for India, and what are the challenges that India is going to face with respect to this deep sea mission or a deep sea exploration. And in fact, we all knew that India has been steadily and rapidly moving forward in its journey to explore and harness the vast potential marine ocean resources. So because we have a deep interest in marine resources, and we also have a vast ocean resources to explore, and because of that reason, India has been planning to harness the vast potential of the deep ocean that we have. And in fact, as a step forward to explore the ocean resources, so we have recently conducted a testing with a submersible called Matsya 6000. So Matsya 6000 is a deep ocean submersible, and in fact this Matsya 6000 that you can see on the screen, that this Matsya 6000 has been developed by National Institute of Ocean Technology. So National Institute of Ocean Technology has developed this Matsya 6000 submersible, and this has been developed by National Institute of Ocean Technology under Samudrayan project. So we have Samudrayan project. So under this Samudrayan project, Matsya 6000 has been developed, and this is important for your prelims examination. So therefore, kindly remember this. And in fact, this Matsya 6000 is capable of diving deep into the 6 kilometers. So it can go up to 6 kilometers as part of this deep ocean mission. Remember that this Matsya 6000 has been developed as part of India's deep ocean mission. So we have a deep ocean mission, and as part of the deep ocean mission, this Matsya 6000 has been developed. Matsya 6000 can go up to 6 kilometers under the ocean. And in fact, so the deep ocean mission aims to place India among the handful of nations, because as of now only a few countries have a technology to send submersible deep into the ocean. So as part of Matsya 6000, India has been planning to develop a human rated submersible and send this human rated submersible 6 kilometers beneath the ocean surface. And we plan to reach extreme depths under the ocean through our deep ocean mission and Matsya 6000. And in fact, we have been developing deep sea capabilities. It is very important that we need to develop the deep sea capabilities. So why it is very important to develop these deep sea capabilities? So when we develop these deep sea capabilities, when we can be able to send these deep ocean submersibles into the ocean surface, so we can actually explore the vast economic strength, economic potential. So it also plays a very important role in building digital infrastructure. Digital infrastructure is because the internet cables that passes through the ocean surfaces, and at the same time it also plays a very important role in national security or strengthening national security, and it has the strategic importance as well, and it also results in putting India at a right place in the global competition. We all knew that how geopolitics have been shaping every day, every year. So therefore, India has also been looking for the rightful place in the global committee of nations, and we should not lag behind in this global competition. So therefore, deep sea mining will enrich us with all these capabilities, and that are going to have applications in digital infrastructure, national security advantages, and even global competition as well. However, when we make comparisons between India and other developed countries, and including countries like China, so those countries are way ahead of India. So therefore, it is a strategic imperative and an economic imperative for India to catch up with all these countries, and India should have a competitive place along with all these different countries. And what is the importance of these deep sea missions and why it is very important for India? So we are going to understand this. And in fact, United Nations Convention on Law of Seas, so this is also known as UNCLOS. So this is a global convention that governs the seas. So this is a global convention that governs seas and also oceans. And in fact, the United Nations Convention on Law of Seas have given exclusive rights over the natural resources. So UNCLOS has given exclusive rights over the natural resources to the countries within the exclusive economic zone extending up to 200 nautical miles. And in fact, imagine that this is India, Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, and Arabian Sea. So up to 200 nautical miles, this is called as exclusive economic zone of India, and this particular convention has provided exclusive rights over the natural resources to India up to 200 nautical miles. And if we convert this into kilometers, around 370 kilometers in the oceans. So therefore, it is being said that in the Indian Ocean region there are a lot of resources, particularly the polymetallic nodules, and polymetallic nodules have a lot of importance, and they also have a lot of important applications. And along with polymetallic nodules, there are rare earth metals as well, and they can ensure supply chain resilience and mineral security for India. And because of that particular reason, India is very much interested in deep sea mining. And we will understand so why deep sea mining is very important for India. So when we talk about deep sea mining, so in fact, Indian Ocean region and even Bay of Bengal region and even other ocean regions are source of food and also nutraceuticals, right? Because we derive fisheries and livelihood of fisheries communities or coastal communities are largely dependent on fisheries and marine bioresources. So they actually offer not only economic benefits but also the nutritional benefits as well. And this is the first reason why countries like India are exploring the deep oceans. And in fact, it is also said that the seabed actually hold resources. So what are the resources that we can actually found on the seabed? That including polymetallic nodules, and in fact Indian Ocean region. So Indian Ocean region is especially known for these polymetallic nodules, and apart from polymetallic nodules, the seabed also has gas resources, oil resources, hydrocarbon resources, and also other rare earth metals, and they can actually ensure India's energy security as well as the mineral security as well. So in this context, deep sea missions are very important, and they are very significant for India. And in fact, these deep ocean missions also help in climate modeling, weather forecasting, and environmental research as well. So we all knew that how global warming and also climate change has been impacting the climate particularly the marine environment, and it has also been leading to ocean acidification, increasing sea surface temperatures and rising levels of sea, and they are also impacting the marine ecosystem, marine organisms as well. So in this context, the deep ocean mission will adequately equip us with the capabilities of climate modeling, weather forecasting and environmental research as well. So since India has a huge coast and India is also regularly vulnerable for cyclones, and cyclones have been creating a huge havoc and destruction across the coastal areas in India, it is very important for India to forecast weather regularly, and environmental research is also very important for India to understand the impact of climate change and global warming on the marine environment, such as coral reefs, marine organisms, because they determine the livelihood of the coastal communities in India, because the livelihood of the coastal communities dependent on the marine environment or sustainable marine environment. And apart from that, the other very important aspect which is associated with the deep sea or oceans is that 95% of global internet traffic, so around 95% of the global internet traffic also passes through the undersea fiber optic cables. So undersea fiber optic cables. So since 95% of the global traffic internet traffic passes through the undersea fiber optic cables, ensuring these cables are safe, secure, they are well maintained, and in fact with the India's participation we can effectively ensure the safety and maintenance of these global undersea fiber optic cables. And in fact it is also very important for India's digital economy as well. And in fact the deep sea has been one of the very important arena of the strategic competition as well, because recently it is in news that China has unveiled the cable cutting device. China has unveiled the cable cutting device. So it is a device that can go deep into the ocean and that can cut the internet fiber cables, right? So undersea fiber optic cables can be cut down by the device that has been recently developed by China. And in fact these undersea fiber optic cables are very important for the infrastructure or for the digital economy of any country, and therefore it is very important for India to prepare with domain awareness, monitoring systems, and also the countermeasures as well. So we should develop the countermeasures to deal with any such challenges that could emanate from future, and that's why this deep ocean mission is very important, right? And apart from that, we would face certain challenges when we develop these deep ocean missions. Now, what are the challenges that India would likely face? So the first challenge is that the communication. So communication is a main challenge. Communication is a main challenge when we develop these deep ocean submersibles, because unlike air, so sound in the water is affected by the temperature, it is affected by the salinity, it is also affected by the pressure as well. So when you go deep into the ocean, the pressure actually increases. So when pressure has been increasing, and it makes communication very difficult. So when pressure has been increasing and in this context communication becomes very difficult, then we should develop very low frequency communication as well as extremely low frequency communication sound systems, right? However, they are very expensive to develop. So it is not easy to develop them. Even if we wanted to develop them, they are very expensive, and it substantially increases the cost of such missions, and this is the first challenge. And what is the second challenge that India would likely face? The second challenge is developing the submersible so that could be able to withstand high pressure is not easy, because under water there is a very high pressure, right? So in fact, because of that reason, the submarines of the security forces would not go beyond a certain depth, right? So these submersible going beyond 6 kilometers or up to 6 kilometers, they have to withstand a very high pressure. And recent incident of a such explosion of a submersible that has been observed in Ocean Gate Titan submersible, because this Ocean Gate Titan submersible was exploded midway while it was going to the Titanic, right? So it's going to visit the wreck of Titanic ship, so it has exploded in the midway. So therefore, because of the high pressure, it is not easy to develop such a submersible, and it actually poses a greatest engineering challenges for India, right? So this is another major challenge. And in this context, what India needs to be done? So we have understood there are certain challenges, and in this context, India can do certain things. The first thing India can actually do is we should have a dedicated Department of Ocean Development. So we should have a Department of Ocean Development. So under this particular department, we can actually undertake such deep ocean missions. So initially, this Department of Ocean Development should be created under Ministry of Earth Sciences, and later a dedicated ministry, a full-fledged ministry, Ministry of Ocean Affairs. Ministry of Ocean Affairs can be created, and this department would work under the Ministry of Ocean Affairs. And because that could ensure that there is a dedicated ministry, and since we have just understood that ocean has immense and vast potential, and providing it with a dedicated ministry would further give a fillip to the deep ocean missions and also exploration and exploitation of deep ocean missions, and it also takes care of the environmental safety or environmental aspects with respect to the ocean ecosystem and ecology, and it also regularly takes care of the climate change and its impact on the ocean resources. And apart from that, India can also do other things. For example, we need to develop skills, right? So skill development is an area where India can actually work on, and research and development with respect to deep ocean is also another major area that could potentially help overcome the challenges that we have been facing. And apart from that, the collaborations with the industry, academia is a very important. And similarly, the financial support, so the financial support from the government to such a deep ocean missions, and if possible the international collaboration is also the need of the hour. So we have several like-minded countries that are ready to support us, that are ready to help us. For example, Australia, Japan, France, and even for that matter United States also. So we should be able to develop collaborations with all these like-minded countries, and that will help us significantly develop our capabilities when it comes to the deep ocean missions and exploration of the valuable resources in deep ocean missions, right? So when you look into the strategic benefits of India's deep ocean mission, it actually has certain benefits or certain advantages. It will significantly contribute to the blue economy of the country, and blue economy is very important for the nutrition security. It is important for the energy security of our country, and it also ensures the livelihood security of our coastal communities and the communities which are primarily dependent on fisheries. And in fact, it also strengthens or enhances the tourism potential of the country, and therefore the blue economy actually have a lot of important applications. And similarly, it would also help tapping India's vast coastal resources. So we have a very vast coastland, and we also have a vast marine resources, and in fact tapping those vast resources would substantially contribute to India's GDP, and therefore it is very important that we need to tap all these vast resources, and the deep ocean mission is one such flagship mission of the government of India, and that will help us in tapping all these valuable resources, and that that would significantly contribute to the GDP growth and development, and it would also create employment opportunities and as well as the entrepreneurship development as well. And in fact, Deep Ocean Mission would also help us utilize the indigenous technologies that we have and also further develop the technologies with the public-private partnerships as well, and attracting more and more private investment, because they also play a very important role when it comes to the development of the technologies and also exploration of resources in a cost-effective manner, and positions India among a select group of nations with ocean exploration. So as of now, not all countries have the potential and the capabilities to explore the ocean resources, and if India is successful and if India continues to make efforts in this regard, so India would be able to successfully explore the ocean resources, and that would potentially contribute to the blue economy as well as our strategic as well as the economic interests are well served with this. So I hope you have understood this. And next, a very important mission, and this may be asked in your prelims examination, that is GAIA mission, right? So this is a space mission of European Space Agency, and this GAIA mission has been recently shut down by the European Space Agency, and we will understand what is the importance of this mission, when this mission has been launched, and why this mission has been shut down. So this is very important for your prelims examination, and there is a less chance for this mission to be asked in your mains examination. And in fact, it is in news that recently European Space Agency has officially shut down its Global Astrometric Interferometer for Astrophysics. So in short, it is called as GAIA, right? So it is actually the Global Astrometric Interferometer for Astrophysics mission, right? So in fact, this GAIA mission had been operational for over a decade, because this was first launched in the year 2013 it was first launched, so therefore it is operational for about more than a decade, and recently the European Space Agency has announced that it is officially shut down. So what is this GAIA mission? So as I have already told you that this was launched in December 2013, and the primary goal of GAIA mission is to create the most accurate three-dimensional map of the Milky Way galaxy. So this is the primary objective of GAIA mission. So what is the primary objective? Create the most accurate 3D map of the Milky Way galaxy, and in fact it has also fulfilled its objective and its purpose as well. And in fact, this GAIA mission sought to measure the positions, distances, and also movements of stars and other celestial bodies in the space. And in fact, this GAIA was designed for astronomy, and it also focuses on the precise measurements of celestial object locations and their motions, so that it would have other important applications for space missions and also finding out information about the stars and the celestial bodies in the space. And when we look at the position of this GAIA mission, so it positioned at Lagrange point 2, it is also known as L2. So on this image you can see this is the place where L2, Lagrange point 2, is located, right? So this is sun, and this is planet Earth, and this is moon, and this is where Lagrange point 2 is located. So this Lagrange point is around 1.5 million kilometers behind the Earth. Remember that this is behind the Earth. This Lagrange point is behind the Earth. It is 1.5 million kilometers behind the Earth, right? So if it is viewed from the sun, so it is just behind the Earth. And in fact, so this GAIA was able to observe the universe. So it could actually, so in case this GAIA can be able to observe the universe without the interference from Earth, sun or moon, because since it is placed in the L2, so there will be no interference from either moon, sun and the planet Earth as well, and that is why it is placed in Lagrange point 2. And in fact, this GAIA was also equipped with 2 telescopes, a camera with nearly 1 billion pixels. So since it is equipped with a camera of 1 billion pixels, so it is considered as the largest camera ever sent to space, and it also has some important instruments, right? So you have to remember that this GAIA mission has the largest camera ever sent to the space. And in fact, if you look at the key instruments which are part of this GAIA mission, so first is astrometer, and this astrometer is very often used to measure location and also the motion of different stars that are located in the Milky Way and the larger space. And photometer is also another instrument that is found in this GAIA mission, and this photometer is used to measure the brightness of different celestial bodies in the space. And spectrometer on this GAIA mission, so it is used to analyze and composition movement of stars. So these are 3 important instruments on board GAIA mission that could serve different purposes and different objectives. Now, what are the discoveries and what are the achievements of this GAIA mission, and we'll try to understand this in a very detailed manner. And in fact, the objective of the GAIA mission to have a most accurate 3D mapping of the Milky Way galaxy. So therefore, the GAIA has actually mapped the Milky Way in 3D, and it has also uncovered the shape, structure, and the movement of the Milky Way. And in fact, it also detected the warping and wobbling of the galaxy as well. So warping and wobbling of galaxy are different phenomenons, and that were also detected by the GAIA mission. And in fact, this GAIA has also identified different types of black holes by observing the gravitational effects, and it has also tracked around 150,000 asteroids in the space. Thereby, it has significantly contributed to the insights about their orbits and also future impacts on Earth. And in fact, planet Earth always faces risk from these asteroids. So GAIA mission actually provide us important information about all these asteroids and the future risk associated with these asteroids to planet Earth, and that will actually provide us deeper insights into the asteroids and their movement. And apart from that, this GAIA mission additionally provided new understanding of the stellar evolution and also the formation of stars, including the sun as well. Now, what happens is that with such missions, our existing knowledge about the space, celestial bodies, and the sun and other stars, so our knowledge would further increase. So that would significantly contribute to the ocean exploration as well as the future space missions as well. And similarly, this GAIA has accumulated around 3 trillion observations, right? So overall, it has accumulated 3 million observations, thereby contributing to more than 13,000 space scientific papers, revolutionizing knowledge about the Milky Way, solar system, as well as the galactic dynamics as well. So in a nutshell, you can look into it, the contributions of this GAIA mission. However, the GAIA mission has actually served its objective and achieved its objective of mapping the Milky Way galaxy in 3D. And in fact, recently the European Space Agency has announced that GAIA being decommissioned, right? So after a more than a decade of operations, because it was launched in December 2013, and after more than a decade of operations, this GAIA mission reached the end of its operational lifespan, so thereby making it unsustainable to continue its activities. So it can no longer continue its activities because it was decommissioned by the European Space Agency, that you should understand. And after over 10 years in space, this GAIA technology showed signs of wear and continuing operations became unfeasible, right? Because it is more than 10 years it spent in Lagrange point 2, and it becomes unsustainable to continue this mission. So on March 27, 2025, yesterday, this GAIA was successfully pacivated, draining all internal energy sources. So this means that it can no longer be restarted or resumed for future operations, right? So that is about the GAIA. So recently this GAIA mission has also identified a dormant black hole, and this dormant black hole is named GAIA BH3, and in fact it is the third kind of GAIA black hole, and it is the first black hole found in the Milky Way galaxy's outer reaches and the largest known stellar mass black hole in the Milky Way galaxy. So that is GAIA BH3. So this is also important for your prelims examination, right? So the next topic that we are going to discuss is about rejuvenating India and Bangladesh relations, and we all knew what has been happening in Bangladesh. So Sheikh Hasina, a pro-India leadership, so she is a pro-India leader. She was ousted by the student protests, and after that an interim government was formed in Bangladesh. However, after the formation of an interim government under the leadership of Muhammad Yunus, so India-Bangladesh relations reached to the bottom. However, in recent times there are signs that both India and Bangladesh have been planning to develop their relations. However, so we will be discussing about the state of India and Bangladesh relations. So what is the current status of India and Bangladesh relations, and how can these two countries can further strengthen their relations, because that is very, very important for India and also Bangladesh. And if we discuss about this, Bangladesh has arguably India's diplomatic success story in South Asia. So it is no doubt that a very close neighbor, and with Bangladesh, India has been sharing its longest land border. So therefore, Bangladesh is India's diplomatic success story in South Asia. There is no doubt about this. And in fact, Sheikh Hasina was in power. Sheikh Hasina was looked at by India as a pro-India leader, right? So with Sheikh Hasina at the helm, it actually provided India with the advantage in the region. And during Sheikh Hasina's regime, India has strengthened its economic and security cooperation with Bangladesh, because we have our own interests with respect to Bangladesh, because connectivity to Northeast is very important for India. And this Chicken Neck corridor or Siliguri corridor is a very narrow land passage, and connectivity or dilemma of India, that dilemma of India can be overcome through the Bangladesh, right? So we have significantly strengthened our economic as well as security cooperation with Bangladesh during Sheikh Hasina's leadership. And we have also successfully cracked down the cross-border insurgencies. They used to find shelter in Bangladesh, and they used to conduct attacks on India, and thereby overall crucially pushing back against Chinese influence as well. So this is the diplomatic success story of India in Bangladesh when Sheikh Hasina was in power. So we have achieved all these different objectives: the economic cooperation, security cooperation, cracking down on the insurgencies, the cross-border insurgencies, cracking down on radical elements, terrorism, and also pushing back Chinese influence in the Bangladesh. However, the dramatic change in Bangladesh political circumstances since August last year 2024, what happened was the Sheikh Hasina was ousted from Bangladesh because of students' protests, and then a brief military rule, and then an interim government was formed under the leadership of Muhammad Yunus. So that has actually complicated the picture of India and Bangladesh relations after the interim government came to power in Bangladesh. However, now New Delhi's task is to recalibrate on one of its most important relationship with its neighborhood, and that plays a very, very important role in overall India's neighborhood first policy. And similarly, so we'll understand what are the problems or the challenges both India and Bangladesh have been facing after the interim government came to power in Bangladesh after August 2024. And we could actually see limited engagement of India with the new interim government, right? So since the ouster of Sheikh Hasina from Bangladesh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just sent a congratulatory note to the chief advisor to the interim government, Mr. Mohammad Yunus. So however, apart from that, the bilateral engagement between India and Bangladesh is largely muted. So there is no large-scale bilateral engagement between these two countries. And apart from that, there is a period of uncertainty in the relationship between India and Bangladesh after this interim government came to power, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi not yet met with Mohammad Yunus. So he is the chief advisor to the interim government. So in fact, a potential meeting on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, so that held in last year, did not come to a fruition, because no significant outcome was achieved in that meeting, and it remains uncertain whether the two leaders will meet in the upcoming BIMSTEC summit, and that is going to be held in Thailand, right? So we don't know whether these two leaders will meet in Thailand or not on the sidelines of this BIMSTEC summit, and that is going to happen in Thailand very soon. However, India has reiterated its commitment to engage with the Bangladesh, because remember that Bangladesh is very, very important for India. So why Bangladesh is very important for India? Because growing Chinese influence in Bangladesh is not to the advantage or not to the benefit of India. And apart from growing Chinese influence, growing influence of Pakistan is also not good for India's interests. And the growing radicalization, anti-India sentiments, and apart from that, the illegal immigration is also another major issue. Illegal immigration, the border issues that are existing between these two countries, and cross-border insurgency, terrorism, connectivity. So these are very, very important issues. These are very important from India's perspective, and because of that reason, India should reiterate its commitment to engage with the Taliban, with the interim government in Bangladesh, right? So in fact, interim government is temporary in nature, but we should have at least a temporary plan to engage with the interim government, right? So because after interim government, elections will takes place in Bangladesh, and there will be a permanent government after elections takes place in Bangladesh. So India should also engage with the interim government, and India should also look for its long-term interest when it comes to engagement with the elected government after election takes place in Bangladesh, right? So therefore, in this backdrop, so whatever we have discussed, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, writing to Yunus on March 26, celebrated annually as Bangladesh National Day. So March 26 is celebrated as Bangladesh National Day. So therefore, it actually reiterates India's commitment to advancing the partnership and its strategic outreach, and that augurs well with India's overall neighborhood first policy. So remember that we have a neighborhood first policy. So that neighborhood first policy emphasizes that we want good relations with all our neighbors, and that is the reiteration of the government of India under the neighborhood first policy. And similarly, the other cause of concern for India with respect to Bangladesh is that Bangladesh growing closeness to both China and Pakistan. So that will not be good for India, particularly China, Pakistan and Bangladesh axis. So therefore, Delhi's approach will have to contend with Dhaka's growing engagement with both China as well as Pakistan. And in fact, even before Hasina's departure from the Bangladesh, so Bangladesh had been trying to strengthen its ties with the China. So how we can say that Bangladesh had been trying to strengthen its ties with China? So because Bangladesh tried to pursue military acquisitions with China, agreeing to join military drills with China, and even joining the Belt and Road Initiative. Also remember that Bangladesh already joined the Belt and Road Initiative of China, but Bhutan is the only country which is not joined, only neighboring country of India which has not joined the Belt and Road Initiative of China. However, Bangladesh is already part of the Belt and Road Initiative of China, and in fact, the interim government's chief advisor Yunus is in China on March 26 to 29, right? So he not yet met Prime Minister Narendra Modi, but chief advisor to the interim government, Mr. Yunus, is already in China. So March 26 to 29, he will be in China. So earlier this year, Foreign Minister of China already met with Bangladesh Foreign Affairs Advisor, and China's Vice Foreign Minister also held talks with Bangladesh's new ambassador. And similarly, so earlier this month, 21-member Bangladeshi delegation, including the representatives from political parties, journalists, academics, and student leaders, also visited China. So therefore, it has been indicating that there has been a growing importance, there has been a growing influence of China in Bangladesh, and that is not good for India in the longer term. So however, it is surprising that India is not yet engaged with this interim government. Therefore, this is China has been taking advantage here, because already there is an engagement at multiple levels between China and Bangladesh, but this is absent with respect to India and Bangladesh. So keeping in mind the importance of Bangladesh for India, so India should also reiterate its commitment to engage with Bangladesh, and that is in its long term as well as short term interest. And the other concerning aspect with respect to India-Bangladesh relations is that Pakistan's growing influence, and Pakistan is also increasingly reaching out to the Bangladeshi leadership in recent times. So that is evident from the fact that a few weeks ago, 4 senior officials from the Inter-Services Intelligence ISI Directorate, they have traveled to Bangladesh, followed by a trip to Pakistan by a 6-member delegation from Bangladeshi military as well. So therefore, this has been indicating that there is a growing influence of both China and Pakistan in Bangladesh, and that is not in India's interest at all, because India is not yet started engaging with the interim government in Bangladesh. So therefore, keeping all these aspects in mind, India must recognize that with Hasina is no longer in power. Hasina is anyway recognized as a pro-India leader, but Hasina is no longer in power in Bangladesh. So therefore, India should start engaging with both civil and military establishments in Bangladesh, right? Because otherwise the both civil and military engagements, establishments started engaging with Pakistan is not in the longer interest, a larger interest of India. So therefore, India should immediately start engaging with the military as well as civil establishments in Bangladesh. And apart from that, Dhaka aims to reduce the dependence on Delhi, and Islamabad Pakistan wants to curtail Delhi's regional dominance. And in fact, in South Asia, it is being said that India has a huge dominance. So Pakistan wanted that this dominance of India should be curtailed in South Asia, and Beijing also wanted that, and in fact China also increase its influence in the South Asian region, and that could be counterproductive to India's interest in the region. And in fact, India should talk to the Yunus regime, right? So we should immediately start engaging with this Yunus regime, and at the same time, because we should also understand and identify the fact that this is just an interim government, right? So since this is an interim government, we should have discussions and we should have engagement with this interim government for to fulfill our short-term interest, but in the long term, India should understand that there will be elections in Bangladesh, and after elections, there will be a new political party that is going to come to power in Bangladesh. So therefore, along with the engaging with this interim government, we should also start engaging with the different political parties in Bangladesh, and that is going to benefit India, right? So therefore, it is being said that given the ongoing political churn in Bangladesh, so India should try to broaden its outreach with Bangladesh, because the domestic political environment in Bangladesh continues to be uncertain. Delhi should begin dialogue with the other political actors as well. So we should not neglect the other political parties in Bangladesh, because we don't know, there is a huge uncertainty existing in the political environment of Bangladesh. So therefore, we need to identify different political actors, the political parties and stakeholders in Bangladesh. We start engaging with those stakeholders, and that is in the long-term interest of India. So there are two key political parties in Bangladesh. One is Bangladeshi Nationalist Party and a newly formed National Citizen Party. So we should start engaging with these two political parties. However, Awami League of Sheikh Hasina is not having that influence after the ouster of Sheikh Hasina. So therefore, these new political parties that India should actually engage. So here a general way forward has also been discussed, including fostering new alliances. So that is very, very important. So when I say fostering new alliances, so alliances with different stakeholders, the political parties and political actors in Bangladesh, and that is very, very important, along with maintaining a wait and watch strategy with respect to Bangladesh. And apart from that, we need to strengthen security measures. So with respect to Bangladesh, it is very, very important that this cross-border terrorism or the cross-border insurgency or illegal immigration into India, so these are important issues that have to be addressed between India and Bangladesh. And apart from that, the strategic geopolitical maneuvering of India should actually combine its existing strengths with other like-minded countries to push countries like China and Pakistan's influence in Bangladesh region, and that is also very, very important. So we need to have a collaborative approach with other like-minded countries, and that actually going to further strengthen India's abilities. And support for democratic processes is also very, very important. So as of now, the interim government in Bangladesh is in power, but interim government is not elected by the people, right? So there were no direct elections took place in Bangladesh to elect this interim government. So therefore, we need to support the democratic process in Bangladesh. There should be a democratically elected government in Bangladesh, because democratically elected government and its relations with India would be more stable rather than any military regime or even these interim governments. So therefore, we should support the democratic process in Bangladesh, and we should also try to engage with the political parties and different political actors and other stakeholders, such as the students unions, all these different stakeholders in Bangladesh, and that would serve India's long-term interest. And we should also address certain critical issues which are existing, for example, the Rohingya issue, the illegal immigration issue, and the Teesta river water agreement between India and Bangladesh. So all these issues have to be addressed in a mutually beneficial manner, and that is going to help both these countries stabilize the relationship. Particularly for India, it is very, very important when it comes to the illegal immigration, cross-border insurgency, terrorism, radicalization, and also the connectivity to the northeastern part of India. So I hope you have understood this. And next topic is procurement of pulses at MSP, right? So we'll understand what is the minimum support prices and how pulses are procured as part of the MSP and any scheme that has been launched by the union government to procure pulses under MSP. So recently what happened was Union Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has said that the purchase of PGNP, this is called as tur dal, in major producing state has actually gained momentum. So the objective of providing MSP to the pulses is to increase the domestic production, because when we provide MSP to the pulses, so it actually encourages the farmers to cultivate more, so thereby it increases the domestic production and it encourages the farmers, and it also reduces dependence on imports. So remember one thing, when it comes to the pulses, India is the largest consumer of the pulses, and we are also importing a largest amount of pulses from other countries such as Mozambique, Tanzania, all these countries we have been importing pulses, right? So we need to reduce our import dependence on pulses. So in order to do so, what we need to do, we need to encourage farmers to cultivate more pulses, and we need to increase the domestic production, and thereby we can actually reduce dependence on our imports. So in order to achieve all these different objectives, what the government has done, the government has approved the procurement of PGNP, urad dal, which is also known as black gram, lentils, under the price support scheme at 100% of the state production for the procurement of 24-25. So this financial year procurement, so 100% of these different pulses would be procured under the price support system. And in fact 100% of the production of the tur, arhar, urad and masroor, it is also known as red lentil, will be procured till 2028 and 29 to achieve the objectives such as self-sufficiency in the pulses production, so that there will be no need to import pulses from other countries, and whatever we consume, so we produce ourselves domestically. And in fact there is a scheme that the union government has launched. The scheme is PM Asha Yojana. So this is Annadata Ahay Samrakshan Yojana, and this has been extended till 25-26. Under PM Asha Yojana, the pulses will be procured by giving MSP to the farmers, right? So under this scheme, purchase of pulses, oil seeds from the farmers at MSP will further continue, right? So here just look at the India's pulses production, India's import dependence of pulses. So India is known as world's largest producer of pulses and largest consumer of pulses, and even the largest importer of pulses. And in fact the pulses are a key source of protein for vegetarian diet, and pulses imports are being permitted at zero duty since 2006 to ensure the availability of pulses in the domestic market. So that if we have a zero duties when it comes to the pulses, then we could actually ensure the availability of pulses in the domestic market. So what is India's scenario with respect to pulses? So the annual domestic production of pulses is 18 to 19 million tons, and consumption of pulses amounts to 22 to 23 million tons, and the difference is actually imported. The difference is met through imports from African countries such as Mozambique and Tanzania. So you can also see the countries which produce the pulses in large amounts. So Madhya Pradesh produces around 23% of the pulses, followed by Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh, right? And in fact if you look at the total pulses production in India, chickpea accounts for around 39% of the pulses, followed by PGNP 29%, moong dal 11%, urad dal 10%, lentil 7%, and field pea is 5%. Remember that this is very important, and apart from that it is also very important. So all this information that has been provided here is very important for your prelims examination, and even if you write any answer in your mains examination, please try to mention this important data as well, right? So MSP, which is known as the minimum support price. So minimum support price, so what exactly is a minimum support price? We'll try to understand this as well. So minimum support price is a minimum price for any crop, right? So this is a minimum remunerative price for any crop that the government considers that it is a remunerative for the farmers, hence a deserving of support. And in fact the MSP is also the price that government agencies pay whenever they procure a particular crop. Imagine that the rice, so government announces MSP for rice. So therefore when the government announces rice, so this is the price that the government gives for 1 quintal of rice. So when they procure rice, And simply the MSP is the rate at which the government buys grains from the farmers, right? So this is the rate at which government buys grains from the farmers, right? So that is what is called as MSP. Now, so we just talked about PM Asha scheme. So PM Asha scheme is also known as Pradhan Mantri Annadata Aay Sanrakshan Yojana, right? So under this scheme there are three different schemes which are part of the PM Asha scheme. So pulses would be procured under the price support scheme. Under this, 100% of MSP would be provided, or 100% of the pulses would be procured under MSP of price support scheme. So this price support scheme is a physical procurement of pulses, oil seeds, copra by the central nodal agencies. Central government will bear the procurement expenditure and losses due to the procurement. That is price support scheme. And second is price deficiency payment scheme. So this price deficiency payment scheme is to cover all oil seeds for which MSP is notified, and farmers to get direct payment to the difference between MSP and selling price. For example, farmers have gone to the market and they have sold the produce, and for example, MSP for urad is announced around 7,500. So this is the MSP that the government has announced for urad dal. So however, if a farmer goes to a market and farmer sold this urad for 6,500 rupees, so the difference amount of 1,000 rupees would be given by the government to the farmer, and that is what is called as price deficiency payment scheme under Pradhan Mantri Annadata Aay Sanrakshan Abhiyan, because the government cannot procure everything from the farmers, and because of that reason, in order to encourage farmers to sell their produce in the market, so this price deficiency payment scheme as part of PM Asha has been launched by the government. And apart from that, the pilot of private procurement and stockist scheme, and this private procurement and stockist scheme to encourage the participation of the private sector in the procurement operation. And in fact, oil seeds, for oil seeds, state have the option to roll out the pilot of private procurement and stockist scheme on pilot basis. And in fact, the Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices recommends MSP for around 23 commodities, and out of 23 commodities, 7 are Kharif crops plus 6 are Rabi crops. So total 23 crops. Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices recommend MSPs to the committee or to the government, and ultimately Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs will take a final decision with respect to the recommended prices of 23 different crops, right? So you can see the cereals including paddy, wheat, maize, bajra, jowar, ragi and barley. So these are 7 different cereals that would be given MSP. And oil seeds, so oil seeds are also, these are different oil seeds, 7 different oil seeds, they would be given the MSP. And pulses including chana, urad, masoor, arhar and moong dal, so they will also be given MSP by the government. And even commercial crops like cotton, copra, raw jute and sugarcane, they will also be given MSP, right? So these are total 23 crops to which MSP is provided by the government. So anyway, that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much. So if you like our lecture, please subscribe our YouTube channel and also hit the like button. Thank you.